Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Queers of Time podcast.
I'm Matt.
I'm James.
I'm Kenny.
And I'm Kat.
And this is a podcast to talk about all the gay stuff in the Wheel of Time.
Because we're gay and we like the Wheel of Time. As always, thank you to our feral venator of Surain. We have Lux, Charlie, Morshadi, and John. Thank you very much for the support.
Thank you.
Today we are continuing our very fun reread of The Gathering Storm, which is The Wheel of Time, Book 12, co-authored with Brandon Sanderson, and today we're discussing chapters 10 through 12, in which there's a lot of Rotel dip, a lot of Aviendha carrying rocks for a point that nobody really knows why, because nobody will tell her, because communication in my Wheel of Time, never. And finally, we have more Egwene girl bossing.
Yeah!
Yay!
That last chapter is amazing, but first we're gonna start with chapter 10. Things are not great for Rotel at the start of this chapter. The war in Aradamon is in a pretty bad shape. We get a few numbers of soldiers, a lot of sunshine, some Aiel on the north, so they can't even run to the north, and not a lot of soldiers left to Rotel. And they're all basically stuck in an abandoned steading, hoping that it would at least prevent the Sentient from using their damane, and basically hoping for a miracle.
I need a hero.
And then Rand show up. Yeah, it's kind of the vibe. It's let's do the first half of the chapter to remind people that things sucks, so that it makes sense when the main, like the POV of this character of these chapters end up saying, yes, we're gonna follow you to the weird places that you want us to go, even if we should stick around here. But okay, things are very bad, so
yeah. He's in he's basically like, okay, the vibe I got was and I'm sorry, I'm gonna talk about Lord of the Rings for a second because I can and because it's always relevant. But it was very much the vibe of the Two Towers when they're basically stuck in Helm's Deep, and the huge army of orcs is outside, and they haven't seen anything of Gandalf, and so they decide that they're going to ride out and give a great last stand, if this is to be their last stand. And lo and behold, they look to the east, and there is Gandalf literally on a white horse, coming to save the day, and this is very much... Now, Rand is, let's say, a little bit moodier than Gandalf.
no.
to put it lightly.
He's a little fuss muffin.
Yes, he is, but a hero nonetheless. And so that was very much the vibe I got.
I also got the vibe of the fall of Manetheren, because they talk a little bit about the Taraboners that promised they were gonna help them, but are not showing up. And at the same time, Rotel is like, yeah, that makes sense. They've been helping us quite a bit. It's always for one last time, and then they show up the next time. Now our odds are so bad that, yeah, I get it. Still, it sucks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's like, you know what? That's fair. This is fair.
Yeah. I like this chapter. I like being in Rodel's head. He has this wise old soldier vibe.
I thought it was a very good chapter because I like seeing inside some other perspective, because if it's just like the main five that we see all the time, then it's less interesting. So it's good to have some nuance in there.
Yeah, I do like him as a POV character. Like, I like his voice and his style. I commented that, like, I might have benefited from starting the series from the beginning because I don't know half of the locations he's talking about, and I know that some of them are like locations we've built up to. Like, I know what Aradamon is, obviously, but like the specific cities, I'm like, oh, this place fell, this place, but we need to get our forces here. I'm like, I don't know where in Aradamon or other places this is.
But that was what was just talked about in like 4 chapters ago.
Yeah, well, when we spread this out, I sort of forget the details.
Oh, okay.
Matt's like, and your point is?
And your point,
That's
yeah.
like that was the last Rotel
Huh?
et al. Chapter was where he like what?
You can just look up the map. There's a map in the beginning of each book. It's available online. If you don't know, you can check the map.
I'm doing it on Kindle, thank you.
Oh, gross.
Aw.
You know what that
Well-
is? Growth.
I have to save my bookshelf space.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I liked it, but it makes me want to reread the series more because I feel like I would be more immersed in like the locations and the stuff.
Yeah.
That's a thing for another day. And I also liked his interactions with Rand a lot.
After these 3 books, we're gonna do the entire series.
We're going right back to the beginning.
No.
We should just do Earthsea instead.
Oh, we should do Earthsea. That would be fun.
I would love to do that.
There's no gayness there, but
I mean, is there any the Wheel of Time? I mean,
yeah.
Well,
There's-
technically yes. Technically yes.
In the next chapter, we get to some severe sapphic pining.
oh yeah.
It's true. Oh my
mean,
god.
I guess Ged in Earthsea isn't gay, but he does create a lot of chaos, which has very gay man energy.
Mm.
Okay, that's
So-
fair.
So yeah, no, I really enjoyed the entire interaction between Rand and Iderald. Just showing how much of the Dragon Reborn he really is and his Taviran nature. Like you literally see it working in real time, and that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, like he starts the chapter or starts the interaction with Rand saying, you know, I don't know about this guy. Maybe he's the Dragon Reborn. He's a little iffy. It seems a little shady. So by the end, he's like, okay, where do I need to go? Let's go. Let's suit up. Essentially, like there's this like very quick change in how he's I guess perceiving Rand and accepting him. And yeah, we're seeing it's happening in real time. And it was also interesting to get this interaction and see how Rand sort of commands respect and gains respect versus how Egwene does it. And I mean, obviously they have different personalities, but I feel like they're similar enough. And obviously the circumstances and the stakes are different. Where Rand is thinking of more, you know, global, I guess. You know, he's thinking about literally everyone, and Egwene, it's more focused on the Aes Sedai and the White Tower and reuniting them. But still, it's fascinating to see how Rand is like, oh, do you want to be king? I'll let you be king. Do you want to be king? He's just handing out titles like candy.
Yeah, my comment was like, Rand really is out there disputing kingdoms like the little world leader or tyrant he's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, is that even yours to give? He doesn't care. He just needs things to happen. So, you want a kingdom? I will give you a kingdom. So you
Yeah.
just go there.
It's like you get a kingdom, and he's essentially Oprah in this.
Yeah. I had a very similar reflection regarding Rand and Egwene. In this chapter and 2 chapters later for Egwene, the two meet people that really don't expect anything from them,
Mhm.
especially like for those kids to lead. And then those kids blow their mind and command respect. So they like, yeah, kind of follow along despite
Yeah.
really not wanting to. And it's funny that we are mentioning the Tavern part for Rand because Egwene technically isn't one in the books. And I'm like, how is she not?
Yes.
If that is being a Tavern for Rand, how is that not being one for Egwene?
Yeah, I know. It's wild. Like the way that it's, and I mean, I think the like similar argument can be made for, she's not mentioned here, but I have to mention Nynaeve at least once during the podcast, which is mandatory. But I feel like it's, you know, there are enough instances with Nynaeve too where it's just like things just kind of bend around, like it's just like, oh, this is really working for you. Like and with Egwene, like this shouldn't, with the situation that she's in, it shouldn't be going positively, and yet it is. With Rand, he shouldn't be able to just show up and command respect the way that he does, and yet here we are. And that's Tavern, baby. It's, you know, it's, yeah.
That guy shows up by himself with no like guards or whatever, and yep, things happened.
Mm-hmm. And also, what a flex. What a flex for Rand, because like no guards, no security, like nothing like that. He's just like, yeah, I'm here.
I don't think it's a flex. I just think it's a bit stupid.
Well, I mean, ¿por qué no los dos? Two things can be true.
Yeah.
You know?
On some aspects, I feel like he's still a bit naive.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Because it's not about the guards being there to protect. I do think that having guardsmen show some, like, importance. In a way, like, you wouldn't see a president going in the street with no one around to ensure he's okay, even if the president was, like, a superhero or something like that. It's like the fact that you are surrounded by people whose only job is to protect you means something. And Rand is not using that. And Rand is not infallible. I don't know whether that's a French word that I'm translating in English.
You're right. Infallible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we get to that kind of in Aviendha's chapter about why Rand doesn't have any kind of guards and what that means.
Maiden being very mad.
Yeah, the maidens are always very mad, but that's just...
They're always in a state.
Save that for the next chapter.
The Aiel are just always very mad.
They're in a state.
So what else? In this chapter, we also got a mention of someone that I was not expecting to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Tom?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like it.
With a story about jungling.
Was not a fan.
I didn't like that we recognize it's him because he's jungling for the queen's daughter.
Yeah, I didn't like this unnecessary reminder of pain.
Of his existence.
Didn't care for it at all.
I did enjoy why the story is said and how it's being used. And how it's all about, like, Rotel is very much this general that keeps winning despite the odds and that has no such a risk, like, every one of his soldiers has such loyalty and respect for him. And Rotel is just like, yeah, but that's not gonna last. And that means that when I fail, it will be very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. He has excellent self-awareness, which is, I think, rare with Wheel of Time characters. Like he is you know, he is very aware of the position that he is in, and he is, you know, okay enough to acknowledge that, even though it really fucking sucks.
Right.
There's one sentence in that chapter that just made me laugh, and it shouldn't make me laugh. It's when Rand offered Rotel to send him some Ashaman, and Rotel is like, madmen? No, most of them are stable.
Most of them are very stable geniuses.
They're mostly chill.
Most of them are fine.
Yeah, don't worry
Right.
about it.
Most of them won't hurt you.
Yeah.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Too much.
I did like that Rodel, Iturald, I don't know what to call him. Do I call him Rodel? Do I call him Iturald?
I just call him Rotel Dip because it's easier.
Yeah, well. Anyway, boo to him cutting down trees in the studying, but good on him for recognizing that it was something that had to be done. Like, I like that he was like, well, I regret this, but you have to do what you have to do.
I like that he regretted it.
Yeah, it shows that he's a person, and he's a good person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially since we've seen so many people in the Wheel of Time being very self-centered about their own culture and not understanding other culture, Rotel probably doesn't really care about the tree, but it knows it means something for Ogier, and has known Ogier and feels bad about cutting down trees in the setting. And that's something that I like other people in the Wheel of Time to do with respect to other culture.
Respecting other cultures in our Wheel of Time?
Never.
Never.
I don't.
Yeah. Speaking of not respecting other cultures, do we want to talk about the next episode, the next chapter?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
sure.
So-
Excellent segue, by the way. I love that.
In this chapter, we have Aviendha, who is carrying rocks as part of her punishment from the wise ones that she doesn't understand. And then suddenly a man, like, his insides turn to tar, I guess, and he burns from the inside out, and the fire can't be put out. But then Aviendha figures out that water puts out fire. It took her a minute, but she got there. And yeah, that was that. It is also the cover image from the original Daryl K. Sweet cover of The Gathering Storm.
With Rand yelling at the sky.
Yeah, Rand yelling at the sky and being very sad.
Which is very stable behavior.
Very stable. The stablest.
I mean, speaking of stable behavior, like the first note that I had in this chapter was one of the maidens was complaining about how Rand didn't allow the maidens to like go with him during his meeting with Rotel, and the maidens say he is like a child, and when the child touches something dangerous, the child is beaten. And I'm like, and other healthy parenting tips from the Aiel.
Yeah.
Yeah. That beating reference sucked. However, I do understand why they are angry at Rand, because he's been disrespecting them for a long time, and they have told him that not accepting their help with bodyguarding him is disrespectful within Aiel culture and that kind of thing.
Right. I mean, the whole disrespect goes both ways. Like, the Aiel disrespect the Wetlanders and not understanding their culture, and Rand disrespects the Aiel by not understanding the importance, but how do I put it? Like,
yeah, but like Rand is supposed to be their leader,
right?
It's not just a random Wetlander, and I don't know. I feel like Rand from the beginning, from the first few books that where he started interacting with Yael, it's always been, oh, they are weird. It doesn't understand that, and there's no really willingness from him to learn, because that particular point, like I don't agree with that, but they beat him up once because of that, and he accepted it and still doesn't care. And I don't know. It's the whole thing is icky.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, I agree. I think on both sides, it's not great. But I think in this particular case, the onus kind of has to be on Rand, because out of the two groups, who is the more likely to be a little bit more understanding and bend, or who should be a little bit more likely to bend? Because we know the Aiel, they have next to no interest in actually understanding Wetlander. Like they have almost an active disinterest in understanding Wetlander culture.
Right.
Who has to be the adult?
Yes, exactly. And so, like, in this case, Rand kind of has to be the adult in the room, even though the majority of the people that he's interacting with are older than, because they're not going to do it.
It's not even just being the adult in the room, in the sense that Rand has asked a lot from the Aiel. They followed him across the world. They're doing basically whatever he wants, even when they don't understand him. Like, bringing peace to Aviendha is not something they particularly care about, because they, as you said, they don't care about Wetlander. They still do it for Rand, and they still follow him, despite him giving zero care about what they've done for him. And it's a whole, I'm gonna change your world, not for the good, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, I get it. Like, it's not great on both ends. It's not great.
Yeah.
And it seems like
It's frustrating.
neither side, and neither side is really willing to put in the work to make it better. You know, like it's unfortunate, because I think it had the potential to be better, but
And the frustrating part is that we know it doesn't change.
yeah.
There's still 3 books to go, and it's not going to progress in any way, shape, or other.
Yeah.
And it's been like that since book 4, so.
Yeah, the Aiel are not going to change at all.
No.
And Rand neither.
Yeah.
No. Yes, exactly.
Well, Rand is going to change a fair bit, but not in this regard.
Right.
Yeah.
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 I found myself glazing over the chapter because Aiel voice it irritates me. It is just,
I didn't mind this one as much as I usually do, honestly.
I didn't either. I found myself like laughing at certain parts. Specifically Aviendha trying to like her few paragraphs about trying to understand complaining and how because Elaine complains, it can't be like shameful because Elaine is perfect.
Yes. God. Like,
As a French person whose national sport is to complain, this makes me laugh too. Yeah.
yeah, it's usually I find it annoying when the Aiel are like, oh my God, the wetlanders. But in this particular case, she made some points. She's not wrong.
She made some points. And also, it's not like a few chapters ago when it was Aviendha Aviendha complaining about, like, you know, deserted people, like
refugees
being like, well, why don't they look out for themselves? They're basically asking to, like, die.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a little bit less severe than that.
Yes.
Aviendha's like MAGA for wetlanders.
Wow.
Oh no. MAGA for wetlanders.
Aviendha's MAGA confirmed.
Oh no.
I mean, didn't we already have like something about her being a Republican and
we did.
yeah, we did. I called her Marine Le Pen or something like that. One thing that made me laugh so much at Aviendha is the whole thing she has about the river and wetlanders might inaccurately call it a stream. And I bet that this it's just a tiny ass river with like that's probably less than a foot deep or something like that.
Probably.
But it's terrifying to her, and it just makes me laugh. Oh, she makes such a big deal out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 100%. She's a drama queen.
Oh yeah, but then in almost the same breath, she's talking about like, but those wetlanders, my God, how they complain, right? Am I right?
What a drama llama.
I have crossed a river for a task that I don't understand, but those wetlanders are complaining about being too hot, being so hot that they burn into flame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine being too hot that you literally get too hot.
Right?
Yeah, that was, I mean, the horror element there wasn't super terrifying in my opinion. Like, it kind of started a little too slowly and then ended too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it was good.
It's pretty good. I think the suddenness of it, because it came out of literally nowhere. We're just like, oh.
Right, you just heard about this guy complaining about being warm, and then all of a sudden he's on fire. And, like, I feel like there could have been some more description about, like, how he was, like, peeling his skin off or something. And, yeah. Camille's like, nope.
I'm perfectly fine with what we got.
I was going to say, like, Camille's like, no, I'm actually good. Thank you.
Yeah. Can we talk about Elaine?
I just had one note there about how the sapphic pining is adorable and maddening.
Yeah.
She's doing stupid tasks, so that gives her way too much time to think about Elaine, I think. It's Elaine. She could only be as bold as Elaine. I need to be more like her. Maybe you should just sleep with her, and not in a friendly way.
Yeah.
Please just kiss. Please. Thank you.
Just get it out of your system, or in your system. I don't know.
Into your system.
Into your system is more like it.
It's like same thing. At the end of the chapter, she's missing her bed in Camlin, and I'm like, are you missing the bed or the person in it?
That's the question.
That's the question.
I know. It's just, I'm like, girl, you are you are literally pining after this one, and you don't see it.
It's, as a lesbian, this is very obvious.
Yes.
And this is painful to read.
Yeah. Listen, I've been there. We've been there. I get it.
You just need some self-learning a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think the last things I had regarding that chapter was the discussion with Melaine, and like there's a small moment between an Aes Sedai and a Wiseborn whose name are Marys and Melaine. So thank you, Brandon, for that. That was rude.
Jesus Christ.
But Melaine was so pissed by Marys mentioning the roughness to your waves. So I guess Aes Sedai are also culturally insensitive.
Is this a surprise?
What a surprise.
Is it shocking?
Yeah. And yeah, that's... Did Brand also know how the Wise Ones worked behind his back to maintain loyalty? That's something that I thought was interesting to mention. Because, yeah, when you see Rand's POV and Rand's meeting with Aiel, you're like, how the hell are they still following him? And no, it makes sense. There's woman in the background doing the hard work.
Yeah. Once again, the woman is doing the emotional labor and doing all of the heavy lifting.
Exactly. And yeah, that's about it for me. Of course, Aviendha is still being punished for nothing, and she still doesn't know why.
She doesn't get it.
And it's gonna last forever.
I can't, like, I don't like the wise ones. I'm sorry. They're everything that's wrong with insert culture. Like, we're going to punish you, but we're not going to tell you why. You have to figure it out for yourself.
It's the final test.
And it's funny because at the same time they're talking to her like a wise one. They're asking her opinion, her advice, and they're following it. And they're taking it into account, and Aviendha doesn't realize it. So it really feels like, you know, in a company when you're working at the next level but still being paid for the level lower.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And,
yeah, that's she's in that phase of her career.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
She'll get there. She'll get there, and it'll be nice when she does.
She's so close.
But unfortunately, Aviendha, we can't promote you because finance has decided that the purse strings this quarter need to be a little tight. But you did great. We have no complaints. But you're going to stay at your current level for the foreseeable future. And actually, we're going to give you more work, but no more pay.
Exactly. It's great. It's great for everybody involved.
We give you more work because we appreciate you. This is out of appreciation.
Yeah, this is out of appreciation for what you can do. You've shown us that you're capable of great things.
So we're going to give you all of those great things and more.
I really need to write my promo packet. Anyway.
I did like that they have Melaine asking about what the Aiel are going to do after, and I thought it was interesting that she said that not many will go back because the land has too much to offer, and that's just not something I ever really thought about what happens afterward. But I always assumed the Aiel would go back, but maybe not.
It's the world has been open to them now, and yeah.
And they were in the Treefold land for a punishment.
Right.
Like that they were imposing to themselves. And after the last battle, there's no really a point for it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm curious in the future, like whether they're going to stay within small clan in different parts of the world, or whether they're finally going to mix themselves with the wetlanders and slowly like change their own culture in a way, some adaptation. I don't know.
It would take a while.
I mean, they're obviously capable of it. It would take a long time, but they've already, like, there was a splinter before within the Aiel, and so, you know, it's I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, but this is like 100, if not more, years down the road. I think it's because
I would say less than that.
Really?
Because it only takes a few generations.
Yeah,
that's true.
Like you get a generation where the parents doesn't interact with the other culture, but if they are close enough for their children to interact with the other culture, then it doesn't seem so strange to the children.
But the channelers do live longer lifespans, so they have longer to hold on to their old ways, much like politicians in the U.S. who just won't retire.
Yeah.
It's okay. Chuck Schumer will die soon.
One day.
I'm talking about an orange one, but yeah, that too.
I wouldn't call him a politician.
Yeah,
That's true.
This
is true. Satan is better.
Is a convicted felon.
Convicted felon.
Yes, exactly.
Talking about felon. With Egwene dealing with
Speaking of illegitimate rulers.
illegitimate rulers.
Being put up against competent women who know what they're doing.
Listen, I have such a big parallel between Kamala Harris and Egwene in this chapter because Egwene is there. She's like, I saw a video recently of Kamala telling some girls that you never ask anyone to give you permission to lead. And Egwene heard that message and went with it.
Yeah, I noted a lot of similarities. I said, like, Elida isn't a legitimate president. I mean, Amberlin, having been raised by the GOP. I mean, the Black Aja. Shocker. But it's a nice turning of tides. Like Kat said, it took damn long enough. Egwene, like Camille pointed out, is great at what I call politicking, and she'd be a great leader IRL. She cares about what's right, and she has the ability to build coalitions and won't stop fighting against evil. Yes, I have other political things on my brain.
Just a few. It's unclear why.
It's unclear why.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to see, and the way that the Aes Sedai are just like, so I have this friend. Let's just say I have this friend, you know, and this friend, this very real friend, is having this problem. What would you do about this? And just like Egwene's realization, like, you know, interesting. But she like not calling attention to it, not like pushing, like knowing what to say and when, so that she's not pushing them too far out of their like current comfort zone, but still making sure that they're aware that she is there to support them.
Right.
You know? Which is like, it's so smart. And she's not being manipulative either. She is genuinely like, she's like, no, I care about what happens. I want this situation to be resolved. I want the White Tower united, and I am willing to stay here and do whatever I need to do in order to heal the White Tower, and to make it better. And it's really, really cool to see just how quickly she's learned in a comparatively short amount of time. And obviously a lot of this, I think, is just natural ability. Like there are some people who are just able to sort of command that kind of respect and trust. And we kind of see it, you know, towards the beginning, even towards the beginning of the series with Egwene, see that sort of side of her. And obviously her time with the Aiel, and I think especially the way that Swan has mentored her. And it's really, really, really coming in clutch here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should probably talk a little bit about what this chapter is about.
Oh, yeah.
I was
sorry.
about to say.
I got so excited.
So Egwene is going around and talking to various sisters in the tower, as well as some sitters, and eventually meets with Maidani, who she asked to have summoned her. Back when she was with Elida, and then she discovers the Black Aja hunters. So
Yes, which was very interesting. It's a lot of politics, indeed.
Oh yeah,
I find it very interesting how we went through different sisters, and so like she went to talk to 3 different sisters who basically asked for her to come for a lesson, because that's the excuse every time. Oh, we are going to teach you some weaves and this kind of thing. And then quickly you see like, oh, it turns into, okay, so question for you. I need your advice. Let's say, so we had Benayen Al-Sad, which is a nice guy we haven't seen in this book yet, but I remember her from KOD, Knife of Dreams. Because Egwene and her had a conversation about the history of the Amirlins, and there's an Amirlin that was manipulated by the whole, but pretty much everything about her got destroyed from official history and is only known by a few. And they had a conversation about that, and that's Aes Sedai, who is a brown sister, of course she's a brown sister, went snooping around trying to find information about that. And turns out that the other brown sister did not like it because she was not supposed to know this information. So Egwene is giving some very decent advice about how to navigate that so that she doesn't get unfairly punished for something she's not partially responsible for. There was no leak telling her about this privileged information. There was no folder left in Mar-a-Lago or whatever that name of this Gulf.
It took my brain a second. I was like, Mar-a-Lago? I don't remember that being in the Wheel of... Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That was not the Wheel of Time. Yeah. And she's Egwene is handling that very professionally. And when I read that, sometimes I even forget that she's only like 20 or something. Mm-hmm. Because she's almost wise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw Egwene from a different angle. I thought Egwene. I don't know that I would say Egwene legitimately cared about these Aes Sedai.
Mm-hmm.
I think that she just viewed them as like little symptoms of the greater whole, and viewed them as kind of a means to an end. I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's enough room for both of those to sort of be, for there to be an element of truth in both parts of them. Because I agree. I think Egwene, she is very much thinking of the tower as an institution. Like she's thinking of it as the institution of it, and not, that is what she is trying to save, not these individual sisters necessarily. If she can save as many of them individually as she can, great, but she is out to save the tower.
Right. No, I agree.
But I think there's a part of care because, she's also showing a very different style of leadership than Elida.
Oh, yeah.
And, Elida is very much a leader that is away from the other sister and that is very conflictual. And she's a lot more closer to the person she's supposed to lead and willing to listen to their issue and willing to help with those issues. And even if it's a mean to an end in order to get back the writer, she could, she did not have to do that either.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree. There were a couple of comments from Egwene, obviously, spoken in her head where I was just like, you're a little judgy bitch, aren't you?
Yeah, she is. She very much is. And it's, it was nice for her to, now she has the full context of why Maidani is still in the White Tower. She understands now. And she does have a moment of feeling like, oh shit, this woman is going through it. She is not having a great time at all. But you know what? This is how it is. And so this is how it has to stay for now.
I really like how she learns about it. Because very early on in the conversation with Maidani, it's obvious that there's something that Maidani can't talk about. And it's not really understandable why. So she finds a way around by asking different questions. Okay, you can't tell me. Can you show me? And it works. And yeah. And also, it's funny to see the change happening with Maidani. We were talking about Rotel changing with Rand. It feels the same with Maidani because at first, she still considers Egwene as a novice. And despite the conversations they already had in Elida's chamber, she's not really ready to accept her as an Amirlin and let Egwene know that, yeah, sure, she follows the rebel Aes Sedai, but you're just a tool. You have no real authority, Maidani said, voice wavering slightly. And it's funny because she's saying that while Egwene, the only thing she's doing is she's looking at her.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's enough to impose. Mm-hmm. She's commanding respect without doing anything. She doesn't need to shout like Elida. She's just calm, understanding of what's going on, and very smart, and I love her.
Yeah. And she's also not just to sort of contrast that with what we saw with Rand, she's not offering them anything aside from a healed White Tower, which is what, that's what Maidani wants for sure. That is what the Black Aja hunters want as well. And that's really the only thing that she has to offer, but it is enough.
Having a stable country tower is really nice.
Yeah.
And having a leader who can carry that off is enough of an incentive for a lot of the sisters and sisters. It's
good vibes.
Sisters.
Yeah. It's real good vibes.
It's nice when your leader is not at risk of being arrested for you don't know what.
Yeah.
I saw we get to mention about Maidani being Elida ex-pillow friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that whole thing was just ick.
Yeah.
Very ick.
Yikes. Yeah. Poor Maidani.
It's funny, Sue, or Egwene is asking Maidani whether she has betrayed them and is now following Elida, and Maidani is so mad about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's both understandable why Egwene would ask and why it would be important for Egwene to ask and get that answer. And also, I think equally understandable that Maidani is like a little offended by it because she's like,
Yeah.
if only you knew.
After what I've been through?
Do you know what I've been doing?
After the puss I've had to lick, you ask me?
Oh. Oh my.
Title of this episode.
No.
Yeah.
After the puss I have had to lick,
Mhm.
you ask me to keep going?
Mm-hmm. God. I mean, we also got, like, it's obvious that Egwene has no respect for things, for you know, the sapphic shenanigans, let's say, that Maidani has had to endure, because there was one part where Egwene is like, the strap is unimportant. And I was like, oh, okay, well, it's bold of you to say, but for some people it's quite important. And so it's not, all I'm saying is it's not surprising that she's, you know, Maidani's.
The strap is not important.
Yeah, the strap is unimportant.
The strap or the strap on? Because Maidani...
The strap. Well, I think it's obvious that Elida is the one wearing the strap, but
Yeah.
it's certainly not Maidani.
I don't want to think about Elida and any sorts of straps, to be honest.
Anyway, let's move on.
I don't know. I wanted to share one of the, like, couple of the comments that Egwene made that I took, like, a little bit shady. The
Mhm.
first one was, like, Egwene could see an unsophisticated brown sister getting repeatedly roped into a duty that nobody else wanted. And I'm just like...
Unsophisticated? Jesus.
That is not my burn of the week. Neither is this next one, which is, Egwene had always viewed the Greys as similar to the Whites, lacking passion, perfect diplomats who didn't have time for personal emotions or frivolities.
My God.
And I'm like, excuse me, as a member of the Grey Aja, I am extremely frivolous. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Good Lord. Yeah, it's a known thing that Egwene is just a little bit judgmental, just a tad.
Like, the Amerlin is of all Ajas and none, but clearly some of them are better than others in her mind.
Mm-hmm. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess is, since you're mentioning the Ameling is from Noaja. I found it very interesting that the yellow sitter, Swana, was basically trying to recruit Egwene to her Aja. That also shows kind of a shift in the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 I will say, I was confused by what Suana said about how the other Ajas view the yellow as the enemy. Like, I don't know where that came from.
Because every Aja is seeing the like other Ajas as the enemy.
Yeah, okay.
They're basically talking about like every Aja is spying on other Aja, and there's no interaction between Ajas at all anymore, except for the Black Aja Hunter.
Okay. It's not just about the yellows. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
it's all of them. So that's why, like, the advice was for a sitter to start talking with other sitter from different Aja, because those are the people that of power in a way in the tower.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
And then we get the Black Aja Hunter.
Yeah, I really like the Black Aja. The Black Aja hunters.
We had Ciane, a white, Doezine, a yellow, Yukiri, a grey, and Searine, a brown.
Can I just say, I loved how mad Yukiri got.
Yes.
She was so furious the entire time, and I was like, you know what? We need more of that energy. It is misdirected right now, but we need more of that.
I always liked Yukiri.
Yeah. Yeah. She was big mad. It's
I literally just wrote in my notes in all caps, Yukiri big mad, LOL.
Yeah. And like, it's obviously we're seeing things from Egwene's perspective, and we know that what Egwene is doing is good and is going to be helpful. But like, Yukiri is like, she's not wrong to be upset by this. Like, her reaction is maybe, like James said, it's misguided, it's misdirected right now. But like, it's it's valid, kind of, I think.
It's valid at first, I think. I completely agree with that. But I think that Egwene plays it well, in a sense that she kind of acknowledges that the other person are mad at her, and like, she doesn't really care about it. But she's like, yeah, you can speak your mind. Sure. And yeah, Egwene just ignores that, and then put things in a specific, like in a certain perspective regarding like the disposal of Swan, showing that if there was a black Aja sitter, then yes, the what's that called again? Stealing and deposing Swan was unlawful,
illegal, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. And that there probably was more than one black Aja, black Aja sitter.
Right.
So it's kind of like she's this annoying kid that thinks she's higher than what she should be, but still she acts with authority and actually says stuff that are a lot smarter than Elida. And oh shit, she's actually a better leader than Elida. What do we do now?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And chase the orange Aja out of the White Tower forever.
And like Egwene says sentences like, sometimes I feel it would be better to be dead than to see what Elida has done to the woman in this tower. And everyone is silent because everyone feels that. And it's Egwene saying that when she has spent, 5 months tops in the tower since the beginning of the series? Maybe a bit more than that because there was a big gap in the Great Hunt at some point. But like she feels more for the towers than people who've been through the Elida bullshit and the separation of the tower. And she's there being like, hey, we need to fix that. And who's going to disagree with that?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think she has a good, a stump speech. She has a very good stump speech when it comes to just like talking about the talking about the White Tower and stuff. Like it's something everybody can get behind.
Yeah, exactly. And she's able to think on her feet quick enough and realize like, okay, I'm not going to be able to convince them necessarily that I'm the Amerlin, at least not like the true Amerlin, at least not yet. But this is something that may help to sway them a little bit more in my direction, which is, it's really smart of her.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing she does really well is that she could focus on conflict on Elida and Elida only. And it's almost an afterthought in a sense that she's all about the White Tower and for the White Tower to be great again.
Oh, boy.
Right.
Make the White Tower great again.
WTGA. MTG. Too many letters.
This is what happens when the Black Aja interferes in your tower settings.
You're really digging for these these comparisons, huh?
Well, it ends well for Egwene, so therefore I'm holding on to hope.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, I love that this chapter just ends with Egwene talking with Medani about Sylviana, who beats Egwene every day. And Egwene's like, yeah, she got a good head on her shoulder. More I said I should be like her.
Yeah.
And she's right, but it's hilarious.
She has a point.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, and you brought it up early, Camille, but like the shit about like Medani obeying Egwene so quickly 2 chapters after we see Ituralde obeying Rand so quickly. I've always been on the fence about like whether it's more badass that Egwene wasn't a Taviran and she still did this, because that's the common argument is like, well, it's okay that she's not Taviran, and it makes her even more badass because she had to do all of this on her own, which is true. But at the same time, you could just make her a magical girl being. Like, just make her a magical girl.
Yep.
And also, like, I don't get that argument because that argument is never used to tell that the boys have no merit in what they've done.
Right. Yeah.
That's very true. Very accurate.
So, yeah. Do we have anything else to say on that chapter?
Not really.
Oh, I did want to say I loved Medani's collection of things with everything, even the rug labeled with where it was collected. And it just really shows like the impact she's made on people's lives. And I think that's a very like good life well lived.
Yeah.
Oh.
I liked, in general, I loved seeing the different Aes Sedai's rooms and the differences with them and the things obviously that are important to them. And so you get a very, I think, almost stereotypical Browns room with, like, there's a lot of stuff and there's books and there's all of that, and with the yellow sister it smells like herbs and whatnot, and with my Donnie, like, I just really appreciated the visual of that. I hope we get stuff like this in the show. Like, we get to see different sisters, like the difference in different sisters' spaces.
Yeah. This reminds me that there was a mention of Nynaeve in that chapter, because Egwene was thinking, oh, we keep being told that Aes Sedai doesn't use herbs. Nynaeve should have a discussion with that sister.
Suana, who is the S named Aes Sedai, like,
it's diabolical at this sense. It's yeah.
It hurts. There's physical pain associated with S named Aes Sedai. Because there's Suan, and then there's Suana.
Yeah. Every time I saw Suana
and Cian.
Yeah, and Cian, oh my god. Unbelievable.
I just love Suan and Suana because they're spelled completely differently. Even though they should be spelled very similarly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, do we have any sad boy moments that we want to talk about?
Kat has the same sad boy moment that I do.
Yeah. I think I may have focused more on the Egwene. Yeah, so it was just the moment where, of course, there was a little of the youthful Egwene left either. Sorry, let me start from the beginning.
I was going to say, I'm like, that's the end of it.
Yeah, that's the end of it. Of course, there was little of the youthful Egwene left either. Gone were the days when the two of them had seemed destined to end up married, living on a little farm in the Twos.
Yeah.
Oh.
And for the context, this is talking about Rand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who allowed Aishamen to bond sisters, which actually made me side a little bit, because this is a bit of a miscommunication, because Rand didn't really allow that.
In my wheel of time, miscommunication.
I really don't like the wall that got built between those two just because they don't talk.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a sad moment.
Yeah.
Matt, did you have one to mention?
And just when Rotel was cutting down the trees in the setting, like, I felt bad for him, because doing the right thing or doing what you think is right is really hard sometimes. And I always pick a Rand moment, so I was like, I'll pick a different moment. And I'm not going to quote it because I'm just not going to.
Yeah.
Because no.
And I did not think of a burn, so.
Mine was in the Rotel chapter too. And it was at the end of that whole story about the juggler doing always more trickier thing, and until he just disappear to avoid fading in a way. And the fall at the end grew more spectacular as well, because he knows that they are doomed, and is not doing well before Bran shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the burn, it was harder to pick one because there was a lot.
Yeah.
There were quite a few burns. Like, none of the ones that I mentioned were my burn of the week. My burn of the week was much more tame in comparison, but it's the one that made me laugh, like, in absurdity about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I chose. Was it's from the Aviendha chapter, and it's when she's saying, after much contemplation, she had determined that being a wetlander required one common attribute: a fondness for complaining. And I'm like, you know what? You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Like, because the Aiel just don't complain about stuff. They just get stupid about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mine was in the Egwene chapter, when she's talking to Maidani right before they go meet the Black Aja hunters. Straighten your back, Maidani. You're not some simpering novice. You're Aes Sedai. Start acting like one.
Yeah, that was pretty harsh.
Yeah. But you know what? It was necessary.
Necessary. Tough love.
Tough love. Yeah. Yeah. She was going for the tough love angle.
What about you, Kat?
So mine was, it wasn't something that someone said, it was more just the vibe of it. It made me cackle. They seemed a little sullen these days. Talking about Red Sisters, Elida ordered them to stay with Egwene more and more often. Though the individuals changed, there were almost always two with her, and yet it seemed that they could sense that Egwene considered them to be attendants rather than guards. Which, like, my God, that must suck. That must be. It's what a shitty, but a great feeling. Great for Egwene, but for them it must be like, oh my God.
That made me laugh.
Yeah.
It was very funny. And I think that's pretty much it for
Yeah.
There you go.
those 3 chapters.
I just realized this episode won't be coming out until after we've done all of our Rings of Power stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in a couple of weeks after this episode, people will hear us talk about about chapters 13 through 15. And unfortunately, the next chapter is a Gawain chapter.
Oh God.
Oh, thank God we have like a month and a half before we have to actually read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
We have months until we have to read it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when people are listening to this episode, just letting you know it's going to be a Gawain chapter.
Yeah.
And then a Cadsuane chapter, which is going to be probably good.
Yes.
And then a Rand, Min, and Aviendha chapter.
Okay.
Yep. Well, on this, thank you everyone for listening to this episode of The Queers of Time. If you want to find us, we are on pretty much every social media platform. We are on Twitter. We are on Tumblr, Instagram. No, we are not really there. We are on Blue Sky. And we have a Discord, which is the main place where you can reach us. And if you want to support us, we have a Patreon. We always very much appreciate the support. And that's it, folks. Thank you and bye.
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 Thank you all for listening. This was Queers of Time, a Wheel of Time podcast. The music is Dance of the Witches by Julius H.